Time in New Zealand is divided by law into 2 standard time zones. The main islands use New Zealand Standard Time, while the outlying Chatham Islands use Chatham Standard Time, 12 hours 45 minutes in advance of UTC, military M. During summer months, from the last Sunday in September until the first Sunday in April, daylight saving time is observed and clocks are advanced 1 hour. New Zealand Daylight Time is 13 hours ahead of UTC, and Chatham Daylight Time 13 hours 45 minutes ahead. New Zealand's associated states, the Cook Islands and Niue, and the dependent territory of Tokelau use several different time zones at their own discretion. On the 2nd of November 1868, New Zealand officially adopted a standard time to be observed nationally, and was the first country to do so, about 15 years before any other. Chatham Island was 45 minutes ahead of mainland New Zealand. It was based on longitude 172 degrees 30 east of Greenwich, 11.5 hours ahead of Greenwich Mean Time. This standard was known as New Zealand Mean Time. In 1941, during the Second World War, clocks were advanced half an hour to reduce electric power use, making New Zealand 12 hours ahead of GMT. This change was made permanent from 1946 by the Standard Time Act 1945, at which the time at the 180 degrees east meridian was made the basis for New Zealand time. NZST remained half an hour ahead of NZMT, and the Chatham Islands 45 minutes ahead of NZST. In the late 1940s, the atomic clock was developed and several laboratories began atomic time scales. A new time scale known as Coordinated Universal Time was adopted internationally in 1972. This was based on the readings of atomic clocks, updated periodically in accordance with time variations in the Earth's rotation by the addition or deletion of seconds. The Time Act 1974 defines New Zealand Standard Time as 12 hours in advance of UTC. In 2011, the New Zealand dependency of Tokelau moved its time zone forward by 24 hours by skipping the 30th of December. Starting in 1909, a Member of Parliament, Sir Thomas K. Sidey, annually put forward a bill to advance the clocks an hour from September to the following March, and the Summertime Act 1927 succeeded. In 1927, clocks were advanced by an hour from first Sunday in November to the first Sunday in March. This proved unpopular, so the Summertime Act 1928 revised this to a half-hour shift. From the 14th of October 1928 became NZ Standard Time. The Time Act 1974 empowered the Governor-General to declare by order in Council a period when daylight saving time is to be observed. This was a 1-hour shift from the first Sunday in November to the last Sunday in February. Promptly changed the next year by the New Zealand Time Order 1975, which fixed the period of observance from the last Sunday in October to the first Sunday in March. In 1985, a comprehensive survey was undertaken by the Department of Internal Affairs. Public attitudes towards NZDT and its effects on work, recreation and particular groups of people in society were surveyed. The survey indicated that 76.2% of the population wanted NZDT either continued or extended. The survey also concluded that opinion on the topic differed little between sexes, and that support for NZDT was generally higher in urban centers. Daylight saving was famously opposed in the small Northland dairy farming community of Ararwa, which refused to adjust its clocks for some years. Support for shortening or abolishing NZDT was always in the minority in the areas surveyed. As a consequence of the survey and further feedback from the public, in 1988 the Minister of Internal Affairs arranged for a trial period of extended NZDT to be held from the second Sunday in October 1989 to the third Sunday in March 1990. The minister invited the public to write to him with their views on the 5-week extension. The Daylight Time Order 1990 declared that NZDT would run from 2 o'clock NZST on the first Sunday in October to 3 o'clock NZDT on the third Sunday in March. On the 30th of April 2007, the government announced that it had extended the daylight saving period from 24 to 27 weeks. From September 2007. Daylight saving is now observed from the last Sunday in September until the first Sunday in April. From the 30th of April 2007. DST begins at 2 o'clock NZST on the last Sunday in September each year, and ends at 3 o'clock NZDT on the first Sunday in April. New Zealand time, including DST, is used by several Antarctic bases that are supplied from New Zealand. This results in the oddity that the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station sets its clocks an hour further ahead during the southern summer, when the sun is constantly above the horizon, than in the southern winter, when the sun is constantly below the horizon. The extreme geographic position of the base means that no possible adjustment of the daily activity cycle can have any effect on the amount of sunlight received during those activities. However, the arrangement presumably makes real-time communications with New Zealand more practical. Particule.